Good morning, friends. Good morning, sisters and brothers. Good morning, church. It is a good morning out there. It's a rainy, kind of dreary morning, I suppose, too. So it really depends on your point of view. But it's a good morning. It's a morning. It's a chance to be alive, and it's a chance to be together in this way. I do hope everyone was safe last night. If you're, especially if you're in the Waynesboro area, boy, we got hit hard. Holy windstorm, Batman. Um, and I know there were other areas that were hit very hard by it as well. So hope that you were safe. No one was injured. Little to no damage to your properties. At the parsonage, we had part of a tree come down in the back. Just came down in the flower garden. Might have bent my little fence is all. I'll have to, when the weather is a little drier, I'll get out there and take a look at that. I got the big piece out of the way. I didn't feel like standing in the rain to take up all the smaller sticks uh, and branches, but we'll get that all cleared up. I'm sure it'll be fine. Uh, Here at the church, different story. We had a whole bunch of siding that got ripped off of one of the peaks, off of one of the dormers. It's actually the western wall of the sanctuary. We're going to have somebody try to get somebody to stop by today to cover that up with plastic, hopefully to try to prevent any any more rain and water getting in through that area. Hopefully, it didn't already do that, and if it did, hopefully there won't be any damage. Um, so there's that. Excuse me one moment. This is a text I do need to reply to. Sorry. Um, making some working on a bunch of things today. Sorry, folks. Sorry about that. But that should be it for that. Yes, and we are expecting more rain today. Anyway, but you're here not for that. You're here for PB Reads the Bible. Um, and another session. Today is day 30 of our journey, episode 30 of our journey through the book of Genesis. And so we will be on chapter 42 today. So I'm looking off to, when I look off to the side, I'm looking at the computer. And when I look off this way, I'm looking at my cell phone. Um, and I see that we've got some folks watching, so great. Some of you are able to watch live. Go ahead and check in. So rather than seeing a number, I can see faces and we can say hello to each other. Hello, Maureen. Good to see you. And Marcia as well. Wonderful, wonderful. Now, I know other people will be watching this recording some other time. Someone posted that they watched yesterday's this morning at 4 o'clock, 4:40 this morning, something like that. Wow. See, it's like a competition who can do things later. I said that the other day because somebody said I'm watching at 9 and somebody else said I'm watching at 11. Well, now they're watching at 4 o'clock in the morning. Wow. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Marilyn. Wonderful. Good to see everybody this morning. Um, Also, feel free to use that comment section on Facebook to ask me questions or to make comments as needed, especially questions if maybe I say something or I don't say something and you're wondering about it. You can also do the same thing with the texting. So if I look off to the side of my cell phone, maybe it's because I got a text from somebody, 570-351-1619, which of course my personal cell. So you can reach me that way just about any time. Try to not do it between 9:30 at night and 5 o'clock in the morning. That's all. But if you have to, you have to. But if you do, I might not be able to answer because I might not hear it because I sleep pretty soundly. Yeah. Anyway, let's get to the reading, shall we? So you can see today, got an image back here, and that does tie in with our chapter, with chapter 42. When last we left our reading, Joseph had made Joseph had been made the boss of Egypt, second only to Pharaoh. Second only to Pharaoh. He's put in charge of everything, and he's been through 7 years, a complete time period, a complete period of famine, and the 7 years complete period of, I'm sorry, He'd been through 7 years of prosperity, complete period of prosperity and good growth and all that, plenty, so a complete period of plenty. And now they have entered into a complete period, 7 years of famine. And he had started to open the storehouses to feed the Egyptians and to sell to people from other countries. So we're going to pick up from there. 42. When Jacob heard that grain was available in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why are you standing around looking at one another? I have heard there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy enough grain to keep us alive, otherwise we'll die." So Joseph's 10 older brothers went down to Egypt to buy grain. But Jacob wouldn't let Joseph's younger brother Benjamin go with him, for fear some harm might come to him. So Jacob's sons arrived in Egypt. I'm sorry. Yeah. So Jacob's sons arrived in Egypt along with others to buy food, for the famine was in Canaan as well. Pause. So it's indicating that the famine is all over. It's not just Egypt; it's the surrounding countries. The author is saying. So this is the author is describing this as a global pandemic, a global famine. Since Joseph was governor of all Egypt and in charge of selling grain to all the people, it was to him that his brothers came. When they arrived, they bowed before him with their faces to the ground. Joseph recognized his brothers instantly, but he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. "Where are you from?" he demanded. "From the land of Canaan," they replied. "We have come to buy food." Pause. I should have said this. So they're all bowing down before him, just like his dream had indicated, right? Just like his dream had indicated when he was just a bratty teenager. So continuing. Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they didn't recognize him. And he remembered the dreams he'd had about them many years before. Pause. I know it's mid-verse, but pause. So he recognized his brothers, but his brothers didn't recognize him. It's kind of easy to understand, though. If you're taking the story literally, and it's not just the story written, but you can understand why. The brothers were all older, so they probably just got older, but their appearance probably hadn't changed a whole lot. Whereas Joseph, the last time they had seen him, was only a teenager, and now he's in his 30s, according to this, right? Because he was 30 when he took over. Right? He was 30 years old when he became this governor. So he's late 30s. So there's been a lot of time, and there's been a lot of change in Joseph. He's become older, more mature. His physical appearance is much different. They weren't expecting to see Joseph. They expected him to be a slave somewhere or be dead by this point. Also, his appearance, he looks Egyptian by this point, especially with his dress, with his speech. That's important, and the fact that he's this important Egyptian official. So it's quite understandable why they wouldn't recognize their little brother. Continuing, he said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see how vulnerable our land has become." "No, my lord," they exclaimed, "your servants have simply come to buy food. We are all brothers, members of the same family. We are honest men, sir. We are not spies." Pause. I love that. There's actually irony in that statement. They probably actually think of themselves as being honest men, but we know the stories of how they got to this point and everything they had done and the deception that they had committed against the people of Shechem and against their brother Joseph, and yet they're claiming to be honest men. Well, they are in this case, but not in reality, not in toto, so to speak. "Yes, you are," Joseph insisted. "You have come to see how vulnerable our land has become." "Sir," they said, There are actually 12 of us. We, your servants, are all brothers, sons of a man living in the land of Canaan. Our youngest brother is back there with our father right now, and one of our brothers is no longer with us." But Joseph insisted, "As I said, you are spies. This is how I will test your story. I swear by the life of Pharaoh that you will never leave Egypt unless your youngest brother comes here. One of you must go and get your brother. I'll keep the rest of you here in prison. Then we'll find out whether or not your story is true. By the life of Pharaoh, if it turns out that you don't have a younger brother, then I'll know you are spies." So Joseph put them all in prison for 3 days, which is, again, is like a complete period or a perfect amount of time, but 3 days. On the third day, Joseph said to them, "I am a God-fearing man. If you do as I say, you will live. If you really are honest men, choose one of your brothers to remain in prison. The rest of you may go home with grain for your starving families. But you must bring your youngest brother back to me. This will prove that you are telling the truth, and you will not die." To this, they agreed. Speaking among themselves, they said, "Clearly, we are being punished because of what we did to Joseph long ago. We saw his anguish when he pleaded for his life, but we wouldn't listen. That's why we're in this trouble." "Didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy?" Reuben asked. Reuben was the oldest, and he was the one that was going to try to save his life. "But you wouldn't listen, and now we have to answer for his blood." Of course, they didn't know that Joseph understood them, for he had been speaking to them through an interpreter. Now he turned away from them and began to weep. When he regained his composure, he spoke to them again. Then he chose Simeon from among them and had him tied up right before their eyes. Pause. Now it's interesting because Simeon was the second oldest. Joseph then ordered his servants to fill the men's sacks with grain. But he also gave secret instructions to return each brother's payment at the top of his sack. He also gave them supplies for their journey home. So the brothers loaded their donkeys with the grain and headed for home. 9 out of the 10 are heading back. But when they stopped for the night and one of them opened his sack to get grain for his donkey, he found his money in the top of his sack. "Look," he exclaimed to his brothers, "my money has been returned. It's here in my sack." Then their hearts sank. Trembling, they said to each other, "What has God done to us?" When the brothers came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him everything that had happened to them. "The man who is governor of the land spoke harshly to us," they told him. "He accused us of being spies scouting the land. But we said, 'We are honest men, not spies. We are 12 brothers, sons of one father. One brother is no longer with us, and the youngest is at home with our father in the land of Canaan.' Then the man who is governor of the land told us, 'This is how I will find out if you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers here with me and take your grain for your starving families and go on home. But you must bring your youngest brother back to me. Then I will know you are honest men and not spies. Then I will give you back your brother, and you may trade freely in the land.' As they emptied out their sacks, there in each man's sack was the bag of money he had paid for the grain. The brothers and their father were terrified when they saw the bags of money. Jacob exclaimed, 'You are robbing me of my children. Joseph is gone. Simeon is gone. And now you want to take Benjamin too. Everything is going against me.'" Drama much? Then Reuben said to his father, "You may kill my 2 sons if I don't bring Benjamin back to you. I'll be responsible for him, and I promise to bring him back." But Jacob replied, "My son will not go down with you. His brother Joseph is dead, and he is all I have left. If anything should happen to him on your journey, you would send this grieving, white-haired man to his grave." Pause, end of chapter. Interesting things in that those last verse. It's one long verse. Notice how Jacob refers to Benjamin and to Joseph for that matter. He says, "My son," right? And he says his brother Joseph, and he says, "My son," as if they are the only two children that he has. They are the only two children he has who were the children of Rachel. They're the only two children he has through Rachel. So in this little verse, this not little, this big verse, this little passage, he's like almost as if he is completely forgetting about his other sons. And the only ones that have any importance to him at all are the two children of Rachel. The two children of Rachel. So it speaks a lot about his connection to them. And I think that also that helps it, that informs not only this passage and the next chapter, but also the next chapter too, but also succeeding chapters. Some of the stuff that takes place gets informed by this attitude that Jacob is having. All right, friends, that's it for this morning. Yeah, I know it's only 9:15, a little bit more than 9:15, but hello, Cheryl. Like I said yesterday, we're just going to read a chapter a day for the rest of this. Give me some time to work out where we're going next and when and all that kind of stuff. All right, friends. So I do pray that this has been beneficial to you. I pray that God has spoken to you in some way through what we have read or said as you go about your day. Keep your eyes and ears, physical and spiritual, open to what God is doing in your life and in the lives of those around you. When you see it, say, "Thanks, Papa," and then tell others about it. Right? Share your story. Be blessed, my friend.